Many people think that sexuality fades over time, like autumn leaves falling along the path of life. But this is a mistake. What fades is not the energy itself, but the fire of youth, hormonal, blind, and impulsive. After 40, a different flame emerges, more serene but also deeper, less wild, more sacred. Culture teaches us that sex is reserved for the young. However, the soul does not follow the laws of time, and the psyche does not age like the body. In reality, sexual energy transforms. It never disappears. In middle age, around 40, our personality undergoes a profound transformation. This is what I call the process of individuation, the slow and mysterious path to wholeness. At this point, the person realizes that much of their life has been lived according to external expectations, roles, and masks: father, mother, worker, lover, conqueror. These are personalities, useful, even necessary, but they do not represent the true self. Sex then ceases to be a test of manhood or an object of validation. It is no longer a conquest, a spectacle, or the quest for approval. It transforms into something greater, an encounter with the soul of the other. The body becomes a portal, not a trophy. Every touch whispers, "I see you." Every embrace brings memories, experiences, and forgiveness. When a 40-year-old man or a 50-year-old woman feels the awakening of desire, it is not just hormonal, it is archetypal. It is the unconscious trying to express itself through the body. It is the voice that says, "You are not finished. You can still live, give, receive. How neat." For the true act of love is not just physical. It is psychic. Two souls meet in the mystery of existence. In youth, sex is often separated from emotion. It is explored without understanding it. Excitement is confused with connection, but the psyche retains every neglected emotion, every silent truth, every wound or ecstasy. Everything is etched, not only in the mind, but in the fibers of the soul. And after 40, the unconscious begins to resurface. What was repressed, ignored, or feared knocks at the door with greater force. This can manifest itself in dreams, illness, or often in the form of a new desire. There is nothing to fear. When a woman who has devoted 20 years to caring for others suddenly yearns for closeness, touch, and eroticism, she is not broken, but fully awakened. When a man who has dedicated his life to building and conquering feels an intense pain in his chest, imbued with affection and vulnerability, he does not weaken, but experiences a sacred initiation. Sexuality is not merely physical, but symbolic. It is the union of opposites, the alchemical union of masculine and feminine, yin and yang, animus and anima. With maturity, sexuality can become magical. The encounter is not only with the body, but with the inner self, the reflected soul. This can heal old wounds. During my studies, I understood that many neuroses are not born of illness, but from the denial of deep instincts, and sexuality is one of the most profound. Not because it is animal, but because it is divine. Repressing desire breeds bitterness. Avoiding intimacy breeds projections. A man who denies his tenderness becomes hard, cold, and resentful. A woman who silences her needs becomes distant, bitter, and insensitive. We live in a society that glorifies youth and fears old age, that is fascinated by beginnings and rejects depth. But true maturity does not mean the end of sexuality, but the beginning of another form of sexuality. After 40, the individual leaves his illusions behind. He has recognized the masks of others, and especially his own. Finally, one becomes capable of being authentic. And sex without authenticity is merely mechanical. But sex with truth is a transformation. With age, even fantasies change. The desire is no longer to be devoured, but to be understood. It is no longer about impressing, but about creating a bond. It is no longer enough to touch skin. There is the desire to rest in the presence of the other. This is the eroticism of the soul, that silent pain that demands to be seen without armor. And it is in this sacred space of mature love that healing takes place. Trauma dissolves not only through analysis, but also through intimacy, trust, and allowing yourself to be welcomed, not only physically but also spiritually, with the touch of someone who doesn't need to fix you, save you, or complete you, but simply accompanies you into the truth of who you are. This is erotic medicine. The most tragic aspect of the human soul I've observed is how so many people imprison their own desire. I'm too old. I'm no longer attractive. What's the point? These are not truths, but wounds disguised as wisdom, and they must be faced. For in the second half of life, what the psyche truly seeks is fulfillment, and wholeness cannot exist without the integration of eros. Do you know the myth of the wounded healer? The one who can help others, but carries within him an unhealed wound. Many people after 40 become like this, able to care but unable to receive. They live like martyrs and suffer. But sex, real sex, sincere, conscious, sincere, can be a balm. It reminds the healer that he too is human, that he needs tenderness, pleasure, warmth, connection, laughter. And what about the spiritual dimension? The ancient mystics knew what we forget. Experienced consciously, sex is prayer, ritual, and communion, not just body to body, but essence to essence. This is not a mere metaphor. The psyche responds to sacred sex as it responds to a revelation. The veils fall. Time dissolves. The little self dissolves. And the being participates in the eternal. After 40, many fear invisibility, feeling less seen, less desired, less important. But this is an illusion of the external world. The inner world tells a different story. The soul, internally, becomes brighter. Those who embrace their sexuality with maturity do not disappear but reappear, no longer as an object but as a force. They become a beacon, not a flickering candle. There's a reason so many people have extramarital affairs or break up in their 40s. It's not out of malice but out of thirst, a thirst for vitality, for feelings, for confirmation that they're still alive. If betrayal isn't the answer, this desire must be heard. Mature sexuality, cultivated deeply and carefully, brings color back to a dull life. It rekindles joy, not the joy of novelty, but the joy of recognition. I'm still here, so I'm still alive. This is the paradox. The body may wrinkle, but the erotic self matures. The superficial dissipates, but the archetype deepens. Those who allow themselves to remain mature sexual beings do not regress but evolve. They abandon action and enter into presence. They abandon seduction and accept the invitation. They do not seek. They attract through depth, calm, and truth. It is said that until the unconscious is made conscious, it will rule our lives and we will call it destiny. This is especially true when it comes to sexuality. Many people feel shame, fear, and guilt, and these poisons contaminate the psyche, creating distance and confusion. But when sex becomes conscious, intentional and profound, it liberates, heals, and even redeems. I don't talk about sex like magazines do. I talk about it as a myth, a symbol, a transformation. For when two people truly know each other, when they shed not only their clothes but also their masks, they give birth to something new. That is the great mystery. Mature sexuality is not a matter of youth but of union. Not the fleeting union of desire, but the profound union of essences. That's why I say, don't give up on sex after 40. Let it evolve. Let it deepen. Let it teach you. For in its sacred fire you will rediscover yourself. Not the one you showed the world, but the one who has always waited silent behind your eyes. You are not too old to be touched. It is not too late to feel that fire. You have not yet crossed the threshold of desire. In fact, you are exactly where your soul wanted you, on the edge of true intimacy, the one that strips away illusions and leaves only essence, presence, and love. Let this be your rite of passage. Let your skin become sacred again. Let your breath express absolute desire. Let your eyes meet others, not with hunger but with reverence. For when we dare to love like this, not just with our bodies, but with the being that heals and continues to heal, we become greater than before. We become whole.